Hey, Nicotine 2, it's Rob responding to your video, The Faith Challenge, trying to be as brief as possible. First, to summarize your video, you wanted theists, I suppose, to explain why faith is a reasonable way to come to conclusions about things. That you are dying to find out why that is. Why it is a good approach to acquire accurate information. Well, first, in typical Christian form, I'm going to start with a conclusion. My conclusion is going to be as much as non believers in God want to continue to assert that they lack faith in developing any of their opinions, they couldn't be any more wrong. Okay. Peanut Gallery, I'm sorry, no disrespect. To all the people that lack faith in God, somewhere around here is the 1 star. Feel free, but please, after you do that and feel satisfied in giving a Christian, which is what I am, a 1 star, hear me out, please. In my freshman year of chemistry, I read that if you isolated caffeine from tea leaves, what is generated is a white powder that resembles cocaine. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Not the cocaine part, but it was pretty cool that something in tea leaves, the thing that we talk about that's in our Coca-Cola, whatever, is actually like a white powder, like a drug. Now I understood my addiction to Coca-Cola. That being said, I took it on faith that what I was reading was correct. Um, I naturally made the assumption that what I read in a college textbook was the truth. But you know what? It was, because I was able to, in chemistry lab associated with that reading, to perform an experiment where we were able to isolate the white powder from tea leaves, and indeed, caffeine is a white powder. So you can take me at my word. You can take me on faith. You see, because if you've never performed that experiment yourself, you would have to trust the accuracy of what I'm saying on faith, period. So my first point here is that where have we learned most of our supposed facts? I don't know anything about evolution from personal experimentation. The same holds true for string theory or the Big Bang theory. I only know from what I've read. I have faith that in what I'm reading is not being made up. I have faith that the science is good. And for many people on here, especially the young people that claim to be atheists, a lot of the arguments I've seen them make are from other videos they've seen, from websites they've read, but never from personal experimentation. So I don't know any other better example of faith than that. And so the final point, well, let me say that in this first point here, is as a Christian, likewise, I don't know anything about Jesus Christ from a first-hand interview. Hey, Jesus, how are you? And let me know how everything happened. I know from what I've read in the Bible. Okay, so I have faith in that too. Just like the atheist, the person who lacks a belief in God, from what they've read in most cases, in the substantial majority of cases. Um, I certainly get a video response from someone that's a grad student in college that's done a number in evolutionary theory, for instance. But there aren't that many of you. I'm sorry. I think you have to admit how many people in your class. Nonetheless, the first point is that theists and atheists alike use faith to come to our conclusions. I know you're going to hate that, probably deserving of the 1 star you feel, but I'll go to the second point, which I think is stronger. I ask you, let's talk about the I. Now, a creationist would argue, and I'm not a creationist, by the way, but let's see the arguments on both sides, that that an I is irreducibly complex. And I imagine you and your non-believing, lack of faith in a God brethren would disagree. I imagine that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if I'm making an assumption, but I think your thinking is very much like this. Creationists who attempt to deploy the argument from improbability in their favor always assume that biological adaptation is a question of the jackpot or nothing. Another name for the jackpot or nothing fallacy is irreducible complexity. Either the eye sees or it doesn't. Either the wing flies or it doesn't. There are assumed to be no useful intermediates, but this is simply wrong. Such intermediates abound in practice, which is exactly what we should expect in theory. The combination lock of life is a getting warmer, getting cooler, getting warmer, hunt the slipper device, Real life seeks the gentle slopes at the back of Mount Improbable, while creationists are blind to all but the daunting precipice at the front. See, there's a lot of irony for me in that last sentence, that the creationists are blind to all but the daunting precipice at the front. See, I think we're all blind because you lack a belief in a creator God because your eyes have revealed no evidence of such a God. But you believe in the accuracy of science because your eyes can see the evidence. Have you ever thought about how much faith you put in your eyes, which are likely the result of millions of years of evolution originally from a single photosensitive cell? Something like the cells here in my hand, but I'd have to shave the hairs. One of these tiny little cells that eventually became an eye. Let me close my eyes. No, I can't see. The fact is that faith is a reasonable way to come to a conclusion about things because it is all we have. A theist has faith in an invisible sky daddy, if you will, because among other things, what we see with our eyes is that everything that has ever existed within our universe had a cause. And without the specific fine-tuning of this universe, none of what we see with these evolved skin cells of ours would be here, including the evolved skin cells themselves. Now, an atheist might assert that the fine-tuning of the universe was merely the result of one universe among an infinite number of universes that was lucky enough to have all the necessary tuning to create life, ours. And there's the other question, certainly, that if everything we see is created, then who created God? Okay. The bottom line and my final point is that both the theist and the atheist have faith that these evolved photosensitive skin cells that we now refer to as eyes can give us an accurate assessment of reality. Just like this little fellow.